Okay, good morning, everybody. We'll get started here. Welcome to the Strathroy-Caradoc Police Service Board meeting for Tuesday, May 19th. Start off here with a roll call. We have all board members present, just missing out on the chief with regrets. Number 2, approval of the agenda. Recommendation that the May 19th, 2026 Police Service Board meeting agenda be approved as circulated. We'll move in a seconder for that. Moved by member Grantham, second member Hahn, all in favor? Okay. Number 3, any declarations of pecuniary interest? Member Grantham.
6.1.
Okie-dokie. And then any others? None? Okay, moving on, number 4, recommendation meetings of the April 22nd, 2026 general meeting. Strathroy-Caradoc Police Service Board will be approved as written. We have a mover and a seconder for that. Moved by member Brennan, second by member Rowe, all in favor? Perfect. Okay. With that done, we have a guest presenter today from the London Middlesex Crime Stoppers. We have Dakota Stacy, has a little PowerPoint presentation. Going to give us a little talk on the good work that they're doing. So we will turn it over to you, Dakota.
All right. First, I want to thank you all for the opportunity to come here. My name is Dakota Stacy. I'm the Assistant Treasurer for the London Middlesex Crime Stoppers. Usually our president would be at something like this, but we're a volunteer board and he couldn't get away from his day job. So I'm just going to take a bit of your time today to discuss who we are, what we're doing, and how we could use help doing that. So if we could move on to the next slide, please. Thank you. So London Middlesex Crime Stoppers, we were established in 1987, partnering with London Police. We are not government funded. There is no government funding for our program. We are solely supported by donations from corporations as well as the community. We are a regulated charity, and we currently have 10 board members, all of which are voluntary, which means that we have no paid positions in our chapter. We have 2 coordinators, one with the London Police Service, and then one with the OPP station here in Strathroy, and they are our interface with the police. So we cover a very large area, including 3 reservations, something like 15 cities and towns. It's a large zone for a chapter, but we, and because of that, we canvass a lot of area for support like you guys. So just to go over a bit of what we do. I'm sure you guys all know what Crime Stoppers is, but the big thing is that we are completely anonymous. Anybody who sends a tip to us either through online or the phone, they call in, goes to one of our coordinators, either Lisa Walsh with the London Police Service or Jeff Hare with the OPP. They then sanitize it, getting rid of all identifiable information so that the tipster remains anonymous. They pass it on to the proper place. In this case with Strathroy, it is Sergeant Cartwright. And then from there it goes into your guys' hand, and we don't know much from that point because we stay out of it. It then goes through the process of, in Strathroy case, Sergeant Cartwright gets it, passes on to whoever's going to look into it, gets back to us with the details of it and the disposition, and then it goes to a algorithm to make sure that it checks for pretty much how much that tip is worth if it led to an arrest or something. And then that gets back to us and we approve it, and then we go forward. The entire process, like I said, is anonymous. The reason I keep stressing that is because there is no other program in Canada that does what Crime Stoppers does, where we keep the tipster anonymous the entire time. Yeah, we coordinate with police and auxiliary presence at community events, barbecues, Day of Heroes, parades. We do a lot of Santa Claus parades. Like I said, our Day of Heroes is a October event in London right now, where we get a lot of first responders to and try and bring the community out to raise awareness of what Crime Stoppers can do. And then we receive tips for the OPP, Strathroy Police Service, the London Police Service, the RCMP, CBSA, the as well as the environmental agencies. So for hunting and all sorts of, we'll say, could be criminal activity. The purpose of Crime Stoppers is to help solve and prevent crime by enabling the community to assist with that. They are the ones that provide us everything with and remain anonymous the entire time. The tips can be submitted online or through the phone. We receive, I think last month we received something like 136 tips. We average about 4 tips a day. And then the information, if it leads to arrest, can be eligible for up to a $2,000 reward. We help the community reduce crime by being able to anonymously provide tips, and which has led to arrests, seizures, as well as diversion to stop crime. So those are some of our stats. You'll see, so the tips are in gray. We receive a lot of tips, and they are actioned a little bit. The reason why I bring this up is because Strathroy generates about 3% of our tips from last year. That being said, they produce about 24% of our organization's tip-led arrests. So we don't know why that is, because we're not involved in the process after the tip gets passed off. I can tell you that our coordinators love Cartwright, and if we could clone him and put him everywhere, we would. They don't have to chase him down for any dispositions. All the information is very forthcoming. But whatever you guys are doing after the tip gets to you, we are seeing a massive benefit from, as far as lead arrests and information actioned. Like I said, 3% of our overall tips leading to over a quarter of our actioned arrests. We also, in the last year, have seized weapons, cars, drugs, and often enough money. However, when I say we, that's just me taking credit for the police. We don't actually get any of that or see any of that. So it's stuff that we've seen through tips. Take drugs off the street, weapons off the street. We have seen good results from our local chapter. We've taken, so just recently again, weapons and vehicles seized. We've taken 2 vehicles this year in seizure, and I believe 1 weapon in seizure just this year. The rewards paid versus cash seized. So going back to that whole cash value seized, that blue is the rewards paid. The gray is the cash seized. So we can see that while we are paying tips, they are obviously in very different relation to the amount of cash we're seizing off the street for a crime. So it is a cost-effective program. Like I said, in 2025, 40 tips for the Strathroy-Caradoc, or about 3% of our total tips received, led to 23 of the total arrests, or 24% of our total charges. Just in Q1 of 2026, we had 18 tips received, resulting in 1 arrest, 1 charge, and 1 cleared by way of diversion. Like I said, we don't know why that is the case. I would love to know so that we can copy and paste it everywhere else. But talking to our coordinators, Sergeant Cartwright is highly efficient and highly valued, and no time is wasted on our end searching for depositions and stuff. So we are a registered charity, as I said. We run completely on donations. If you look at the numbers there, we run about $18,000 to $19,000 in costs a year. Most years we are about $3,000 behind. $3,000 to $5,000 behind. On there, you'll see that last year we were actually had a good year. We were about $2,200 above water. However, one of those top numbers that is highlighted is a HST tax return that they didn't expect, and that was for $4,000. So if you take that out, we are actually $2,000 behind. And the reason why that is important is because with the funds that we have been receiving through fundraising and donations, we are treading water and doing so about as effectively as we can, but we need help. Like I said, this year alone, we are currently about $1,100 behind, and that is with many donations coming in from previous media spots and stuff. The reason why this is important to mention is because we don't do advertising, we don't do TV spots, we are a very basic organization right now. We would love to do that, but when you don't know what's coming down the pipeline, it's hard to plan for the future. And so we are holding a charity golf tournament in July, and using donations from that to help offset the cost of that, just to get awareness out there. And so one of the reasons I'm here is sort of hat in hand, because we need help. We need consistent donations. And I'm sure one of the questions at the end will be dollar value. Dollar value is important. Like I said, $3,000 to $5,000 is what we're missing every year. But it's the consistency that we need. It's knowing what's coming in to help plan for things. So with that, is there any questions?
Perfect, thank you, Dakota. I got one question. Just looking at those graphs there, the narcotics and the cash receipt 2022 was a really big year.
Yes.
Was there a big seizure or something that happened that year? Or
yeah, so there was a large seizure, I want to say in London, that started off a tip, and so we got the stat credit for it. But yeah, it was something like $500,000 in a seizure, and then there was also a couple border seizures that we were a part of.
Perfect, thank you. Questions? I'll leave open up questions from the board members. They have Dakota. We'll start over with member Rowe, Peter.
Yeah, I wondered, I actually drive school bus in the City of London, and as you may know, it's illegal to run the overhead red lights on a school bus when you're loading kids. It happens multiple times a day all over the city. We had a death last year of a young 7-year-old boy just west of London near Delaware, and it's extremely difficult for us as drivers to obtain the license plate numbers of the vehicles that are doing that. Has there been any discussion about trying to incorporate a program to get the public involved, and maybe if they observe something like that, sending in a tip on something like that?
So there hasn't been discussion. That being said, you bringing it up, I have a 6-year-old son. That is very close to home for me. One of the things I will say about our board is, while we are volunteer, we're also young. My dad would be the oldest member on the board. Everybody else is in their mid-30s, just building families. So we need, the thing that we are working on right now is the stuff that we notice. We're looking for members and stuff to help us with that type of initiative building, and that is something I will bring forward in our next meeting, because that is something that, like I said, as a dad, I've noticed myself, and fits with our community. So.
Yeah, there could be a fundraising portion to that as well, because some of the bus companies are struggling with that. I know our health and safety people do.
Okay.
And one of the options that's been discussed, I've raised it multiple times at our health and safety meetings, is installing cams on the buses. That's a big ticket item though.
Yes.
And if they could save money by getting the public involved and have an impact on reducing that.
That is a very good idea, and I will take it.
They might be willing to, donate money to the cause. And there's Langs, there's LG, there's Sharp, there's Murphy Bus Lines, and they're all running hundreds of buses a day.
Well, thank you for the idea. I will definitely do it.
Perfect, thanks, Peter. Anybody else? Member Holland, go ahead.
I had a number of questions, and one was, and you were mentioning you're all volunteers, and you receive about 4 tips a day, let's say on average. When you receive tips after hours, whether it's weekends or after hours, how are they prioritized so that that tip doesn't lose the time sensitivity?
So one of the things we do is we pay for a national toll-free line that goes to a call center. So all tips go to a call center where they are then sent to our coordinator. Our coordinator has access to them 24/7, and they have a system in place to make sure that time-sensitive stuff is handled.
Well, that's good to know. Thank you. How many Crime Stopper associations are there in Ontario?
I can't remember the exact number offhand, but I know we're upwards of 25 in Ontario.
Okay. I know that at our last board meeting, we had talked about the article of Crime Stoppers being in fundraising difficulties, shortfalls, but the reason we're asking is I saw the cash graphs that you had shown us about some of the dollar values from your tipsters, and I know that Ontario does not offer those cash receipts. I mean, you just showed Strathroy, so imagine all the other 24 areas. And why can the Crime Stoppers Association not petition Ontario to try to see if they can release some of those funds to your good services?
So I have asked the same question of our president, and the answer that he got was we cannot get proceeds of crime. So when those things are seized, they become government and government goods, and we don't touch those. So that is the answer we get.
Yes, yeah. And possibly I can understand that rationale about not distributing proceeds of crime. Has the Ontario Attorney General ever said, we think this is such a good program, we want to assist with some of the funding?
Ontario has not. Like I said, we are not government funded in any way. It is a grassroots organization. The most successful chapters of Crime Stoppers in Ontario are backed by groups like you guys, the service boards of their area. We also have corporate donors, like we just spoke with General Dynamics a few weeks ago. So that is the job of the board to fundraise and stuff, but the government likes to, or seems to not want to, I think, play favorites with charities, because that's what we are technically, and so they stay away from it.
I know at our last meeting also, I think we were going to be bringing up the fundraising challenges your organization has at a Zone 6 meeting. Did anyone here from the board attend, and was it brought forward?
It was not at that meeting. That was the first meeting I'd been to. I did make a number of contacts there that I will be following up with, but I didn't have an opportunity that presented itself at that meeting to do that.
I know that as a board we talked about how we could help, such a good organization, and thought that possibly having it by our Zone 6, which incorporates a number of police services boards in southwestern Ontario, that might be a better route to go. So I guess we'll leave that back in our hands.
As I say, I'll be following up on
yes.
that. I've got a report I'm going to give later on in the meeting here this morning.
Perfect.
On what went on at that meeting. And,
okay. Okay. Perfect. That helps.
I see you had your hand up.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that the provincial government may shy away from supporting Crime Stoppers to prevent there being an accusation of Crime Stoppers being funded by the government, just to keep that separation, because it may affect how the tips come in, and
Yes, yeah.
there's gonna be a court challenge down the road about.
For sure, that makes perfect sense. Did anybody else have any questions for Dakota, or would like to start a discussion if there was any interest in making a motion for some assistance, or you want to just move on? Nobody? Okay.
I do know I would not, I would like to bring this up at a Zone 6 meeting, and as you said, you might bring it forward.
Okay.
So, not
Yeah,
to
we
leave
can
it.
If you want to, we can defer to bring it up at the
Yes.
meeting with all the other boards.
Yes.
Perfect, okay. Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Dakota, for your presentation, that was very informative. We will get your little USB key back to you there. You're more than welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting if you wish to, but.
Thank you.
Yeah, there you go, thank you very much. So we're moving on, review of our monthly police service reports. Was there any comments the deputy chief had on these reports before we receive them for information?
Yeah, I was just gonna briefly touch on the activity report, and in the charge summary.
Just once, Mayor, Member Grantham, you had your conflict, did you want
Yeah,
to?
now I'm gonna go to the back. I don't know how to handle this. I think I'll do it under inquiries, about 6.6, the budgets, but I'm gonna review the stuff. If you
Yep.
have an opportunity to
For sure.
bring that forward.
Certainly, yeah, we can do 6.1, yeah, we'll do 6.1 separately on its own, and then Member Grantham can join for the rest of the reports. So go ahead.
Yeah, just under the activity report for the criminal charges for year-to-date for this year, they are lower. And I think it's important to touch on the new pre-charge consultation with the Crown we have embedded with us, in that a lot of the, sorry, not a lot, a number of charges that would normally be processed are being either declined to be proceeded by the Crown or deferred. So that number is lower, but it doesn't necessarily reflect that the charge, like the offenses are lower. So I just thought it would be important to mention that.
Fantastic, thank you for that clarification. Good, seems like that program's working, so that's good. Any questions on 6.1 specifically before we vote that in? Member Hahn?
I had one on the CID report. I believe that's part of the activity report still. And it's bullet point number 3. Search warrants were drafted but not able to be executed. Could that be potentially digital evidence, and it's hard to maybe receive that information because of privacy? What other types of search warrants cannot be executed?
So I'm not completely aware of which occurrence this is associated to, but it could potentially be that a search warrant was written and presented to a judge or a justice of the peace and it was denied.
Oh,
So that could be-
denied.
That could be one. Another time might be if there's a specific time frame on it and it's not executed within the time frame given.
But you could go back, if this was important to this occurrence, you could go back and update the date. Is that correct?
Yeah, you can try. They may not agree to that, but you
Okay.
could try. I'm leaning towards that a search warrant was drafted, but it wasn't approved.
Okay.
And there could be a plethora of reasons for that.
Yes, the approval, I can understand. Okay, it was about it being executed, that they weren't able to do that. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Is any other questions about 6.1? Okay, do you have we'll receive that one separately for information. Do we have a mover and a seconder? Receive that member Brennan, seconded by member Rowe, all in favor. Perfect, okay. Any questions, comments from 6.2 all the way up to 6.6? We'll have discussion. Member Grantham?
Thank you, Chair. I think this may go to the deputy chief, but looking at the budget, I did see some transfer reserves. I assume that's for the buildings. I'm gonna use that to ask about the status of the building deputy chief. The tender. I just got two questions about the tender. When and where? So when will the tender be coming? Because I don't know this, I'm gonna follow up if you have any insight. Will the tender be coming to the police board for approval or to council? I don't have an opinion either way, I'm just trying to figure out the process.
Sure. Through the chair, your worship. So the tender was actually posted last Thursday night at about 10 p.m. Apparently there was some new act that came into effect on Friday that they wanted to get it in before, the Buy Ontario Act, I think it is.
Okay.
So it was posted. My understanding through the CAO is that once the tender closes and we have our recommended companies, that it will come back before the board. And then once the board approves who to award it to, then the board or myself will work with the Director of Finance to ensure that that financing is sought at that time.
And sorry, now that you mention it, that does sound familiar about the Buy Ontario Act, so I appreciate the update. Thanks.
Yeah.
Any other comments, questions? 6.2 to 6.6. Member Hahn?
On the community services report, that's, and it says Constable Brabender is creating a vulnerable person registry. And I know it's just in the draft stages. Can you tell me a little bit more about the details of that registry? Do other police service boards or police services also have a registry very similar? Who can access that registry, and what are the benefits?
Absolutely, I can touch on that. So yes, there are many other services that have a vulnerable registry, and the basic premise behind it is someone can bring a family member's name forward. Generally, we'll get their personal information, emergency contact information, a photograph. So, for example, an Alzheimer's, someone who suffers from Alzheimer's and wanders. So they will provide us with that information so that if that person is reported missing, we have everything we need to start looking. Currently, without that, we need to ask for photos. We need to get all of their information. We need to find out, if they've been missing in the past, where were they located? I know an example is years ago, there was someone we found walking east of Glencoe. So it's nice to know which route they would take and things like that. So once it's up and running, there will be social media posts and on our website so that anybody can come forward and register a vulnerable person with our service.
Okay.
Okay. Anybody, any other questions, comments? Oh, Member Hahn again.
I had a question on the training and lost hours. First, a good compliment, I guess. I saw that there has been no LTD or WSIB in the last 2 years. And I know that financially and efficiently, those are very good results. So, and that often relates sometimes to, good initial practice so that they don't become long-term WSIB or a long-term disability claim. But my second question was, I noticed that there was some mandatory training, and I'm not necessarily truly familiar with the Strathroy-Caradoc services, but I noticed in number 2 or something, carbine training versus, let's say, pistol or shotgun. What's the percentage of the Strathroy-Caradoc services that has that training that's mandatory? I know that there's a request to get more people, I believe, with that training, so I was just wondering what that percentage is.
So with the new act, there's mandatory carbine C8 training, which is the patrol rifle, and it's initial training of 40 hours now. So normally we would have incorporated with our initial training, but now it specifically is training set out by the ministry, aka the police college. So now it's a minimum 40 hours of basic training on the use and function of the patrol rifle. So you will see as we move forward that members will be engaged in that training. Whereas before we didn't have to report on it, we would just do the training, and so now we're reporting on it because we actually had to send this member and our trainer to Sarnia and train with them because it was more cost effective because they were running new recruits through the training as well.
So is this part of the cadet training program mandatory now, or does it fall back on the police services to do this 40-hour training?
So it falls back on us. It's not part of the basic constable training. So after they complete their basic constable training, we will incorporate a 2 to 3 week post basic constable training program where this will be included. And we do have a member who is trained to conduct this training in-house, so we can do it ourselves.
So pretty well, would I be right saying about 100%, or you're striving for 100% of your constables to be trained?
Correct. Sorry, I forgot to touch on that. Yes, currently everyone is trained, and when our new recruit comes back in June, he will also receive the training.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right. Yep. Okay, that's it for 6.2 to 6.6. Do we have a recommendation was to receive them for information? Do we have a mover and a second? Moved by Member Graham, second by Member Hahn. All in favor? Perfecto. Okay, on to number 7, staff reports. Does the Deputy Chief have any comments he wants to make? Maybe explain the mutual assistance agreement a little bit before we receive that for information.
Sorry, I'm just bringing it up here. I didn't bring her copy with me, so. Okay, so under the new act, there's currently 2 ways to get assistance or provide assistance to another police service. So there's the Section 14, which is before you today, where you can agree with other police services to provide or receive services. The primary ones for us are breath techs, drug recognition experts. Those are the frequent ones that we will likely use and share, because at times we don't have a breath tech working, so we'll use, say, London's breath tech, and sometimes we'll have a breath tech working and say, I want to use let's say St. Thomas doesn't have a breath tech working, they need a breath tech, so we'll provide the service to them. Without this agreement, we need to submit what's called a Section 19 notification to the inspector of policing. So anytime we receive or provide a service, we have to notify them. And essentially a Section 14 agreement means we don't have to do that. So that's the premise behind it, is we can share resources with one another, and the inspector will get a copy of this agreement, and then we don't have to notify them every time we share resources.
And how does that affect like cost for those services? Who takes the brunt of that?
So I know in the agreement, there's talk about cost recovery between boards. For the most part, there's never really been a cost recovery. We share the resources as we need to. Like a breath tech or a DRE, a drug recognition expert for impairs, it's usually maybe an hour to 2 hours of time, and it's just something that we do for each other because it kind of goes around in a circle as to sharing. At the end of the day, is there a potential cost depending on what the resource is? Yes. But if it's something that we don't provide, such as an identification officer, we need to ensure that's done. In regards to Section 14, we are working in the background with the OPP on a Section 14 agreement. They're just a little slower, or a lot slower in getting this done. At which point, again, I don't know if there will be a cost recovery with them or not. There generally hasn't been, but until we actually see the agreement that they propose, I don't know.
Okay, perfect, thank you. Member Graham.
Yeah, I should know this, but can I assume that this also covers a major event, like an emergency where you need to call in, say the OPP because they're our neighbors? Or is that under a different?
So this is only for municipal services in Zone 6. So Elmer, St. Thomas, London, us, Sarnia, LaSalle, Windsor, Chatham, Kent. So we could essentially call any of them and they can provide us with services. Another example would be canine dog services. We don't have a dog. I'd like to see that change at some point, but that's just putting a little thing in the back of your minds. And then, yeah, so we will, like St. Thomas has come to help us before. Sarnia's been very generous. They sent their IDEN officers out when we needed help. So it's just it just formalizes the process that we currently use anyways.
I noticed Elmer was the only services board or service that had reference to air services. Is that drones, or is that actual aircraft or helicopters? Or?
No, that'll be drone. Yep, drones. Yep.
Okay.
Member Hunt, go ahead.
And going further too, of the 9 police services listed on the last 2 pages there's only Elmer that has signed up, but generally would we assume, maybe it's a timing thing, that all of the Zone 6 police services sign up in some manner?
Yeah, so it's very early. This literally just came out, I think it was the day before the deadline for this meeting.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I thought so.
yeah, so everyone else is taking it to their boards and stuff currently. So Elmer is the only one that's had it signed. I believe St. Thomas was having theirs signed this week as well. So the intention is that everybody in Zone 6 will sign on at some point.
And I saw it was a 5-year agreement. Our board chair signs it, so 5 years. And this isn't the first time this has been in place, but under the new act, is it something that's new that you have to sign for?
Yes.
This agreement?
Yeah, so if you don't have an agreement, so let's say, for example, we used Woodstock or Stratford Police, we would still need to notify the inspector of policing that we used those services for whatever it is we needed them for.
Yeah.
That would be outside the agreement, this particular agreement,
Correct, yes.
outside Zone 6. Yeah.
Perfect, thank you. The staffing report and this report are separated. Was there any comments about the staffing update before we received that one separately for information? Seeing none. Okay, do we have a mover and a seconder then to accept the staffing update for Member Rowe, seconded by Member Brennan? All in favor? Perfect. And then the Section 14 Municipal Police Services Mutual Assistance Agreement, recommendation we received that for information, and that we approve and enter into the Municipal Police Services Mutual Assistance Agreement. Do we have a mover and a seconder for that? Moved by Member Grantham, seconded by Member Hahn. All in favor? Fantastic. Sorry, yeah, Deputy Chief.
Sorry, I should have commented on this. In the back where it shows the different services, if in fact, so our intention is to get a DRE. Once we get that, we may make an amendment to say we can provide DRE services or drones if we were to get that. So it's
Living
not-
document that can be changed as needed.
Yeah.
For sure. And then maybe in a few months, once every service has signed up, we can revisit just to have a look to see who's providing what, just so we have a good idea of what's available. Thank you. Number 8 was supposed to be Ron giving us an update on the expectorate business, which he reported this morning. He may be late, but he's being tied up a little bit longer than expected. So we will we'll move on to number 9. Any announcements and inquiries by members? I know Member Rowe was going to give us a little update on. He attended the Zone 6 meeting recently. So Peter, I'll pass it over to you.
Yeah. Well, it was, as I mentioned earlier, it was the first time I attended the meeting. I thought it was very interesting. Had made some contacts there. There was a joint session for the police services and police services board members that included an AGCO presentation on province-wide initiatives addressing organized crime and related alcohol, cannabis, gaming, and money laundering. That was followed up by a report by the Chief Campbell, on his recent Toronto meetings with the Premier and the Solicitor General and the Attorney General. And he was advising that the current government priorities emphasizing policing relationships among municipalities, the Solicitor General and the Attorney General. He also encouraged police services boards to engage with local MPPs to build relationships with the ministers in the Crown. He also commented about current limitations within the justice system and the importance of ensuring successful decisions. And then Ron LeClaire and one of his colleagues, Morgan from the Inspector General's, presented 5 inspection themes for current anti-corruption initiatives emphasizing vulnerability, identification, supervision, and training. They also advised that the inspection hub is being developed to provide resources to police services province-wide, and Strathroy-Caradoc among the services selected for Phase 1 inspections, anticipated to begin in late May 2026. Further details are going to follow, so I'm sure you're up to speed on that one. You were there, so yeah. Following the session, there was a recess, and the group split, and I attended the Zone 6 Police Services Board members session with representatives from across the zone. There was a representative there, Janine Lassaline, PGO Director of Communications and Engagement. Her agenda included an election. There was an election of a chair and a vice chair. I guess the prior individuals holding those posts were retiring, and the newly elected chair was proposing establishing a subcommittee to draft governance and administrative documents. I had asked a question about what was in place for the zone, and apparently they didn't have a sort of a governance framework. So they suggested there would be a committee, subcommittee drafted, and to draft those. And of course, I volunteered to assist in that respect because that's my background in policy. Anyway, she advised that she had been actually providing interim administrative support for the Zone 6 group, and went on to provide details of a PGO initiative 3-year training plan for police services board members focused on governance, identification of priorities, including the cost of policing, bargaining, legislative provisions, WSIB, bail reform, with the objectives of stabilizing the policing ecosystem. She also highlighted governance templates that have been developed by the PGO. They're available on their website currently. And indicated she's going to follow up with me anyway on regarding Zone 6 governance matters. I have yet to hear from her, but that's not surprising given the length of time. It's only been a couple of weeks or so. So I asked them how they were funded and was advised that the only revenue sources is annual member fees. Do we pay fees to Zone 6? That was a question I had.
Yeah, the board pays a membership fee to it's the PGO now, Police Governance Ontario.
PGO, okay.
Yeah, our members of the PGO.
Okay.
Yeah. Pretty much, I think every police board in the province now is a member of the PGO.
Yeah, okay. There was also a rep from the Caldwell First Nations there, and he raised some concerns regarding funding to support First Nations Police Services Board's participation on Zone 6 committee. He noted that the First Nations Police Services are self-funded and don't have any access to municipal and provincial funding, as do other service boards. The discussion highlighted how the current definition of municipality affects the eligibility of First Nations police services across Ontario. And then there was a Zone 1 rep at the meeting as well from Northern Ontario that covers most of his area would be primarily First Nations communities. So anyway, it was a very informative meeting, and I sent this to Matt and suggested that I was prepared to serve as a point person for Zone 6 for the board here.
Very good.
And we'll continue to dig into this stuff and try and digest it and provide reports to the board on a regular basis. I'm assuming there will be other meetings coming up, but...
There's always another meeting.
Pardon me?
There's always another meeting, yeah.
Always.
Do you know when the next meeting in Strathroy will be? We attended one, I'd say maybe 2 years ago. It was held in Strathroy at Caradoc Sands, the Zone 6, as well as the police chiefs. But you're not sure on...
I don't know, but I want to be in touch with Janine.
The deputy chief might have some inside information on that question.
Don't know if it's inside information, but they go, each board in the Zone 6 does it alphabetically. So it was Elgin OPP, so I'm assuming it's OPP and then they're doing Elgin, would be my guess. So, well, I'm thinking it might be a couple of years yet, because there's a spring meeting and a fall meeting.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
don't have them too often, but...
Yes.
So 2 annually.
Perfect. Thanks again, Peter, for attending that meeting and giving the update and volunteering to be part of that committee. That's excellent. Any other comments, announcements, inquiries?
Yeah. Thank you. I got a question for the deputy chief, and I'm prompted by an email I just got pinged from the deputy mayor. It's regarding the e-scooters. And I think, just for clarity, I've seen all the different posts on that, so I think council, municipality's position where we weren't going to create any bylaw, we were just going to go with the current regulations. So I don't know if you have a comment, specifically the deputy mayor is just asking that we bring this forward to the PSB, which I'm doing. He's asking that all communication from our police service remain consistent and compliant with the regulations and bylaws of the municipality, which I believe we are doing, correct? We're all in line and, yeah. I don't know if you have any comment on that. I just wanted to address, that we did discuss e-scooters and e-bikes, and I think I did see there was maybe a fatality in London last week or any one of them, I think.
I believe there was, yeah. We also had an incident a couple weeks ago where e-scooter or e-bike drove into the side of a vehicle, and there were some minor injuries and stuff, so.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Yep, number one.
Going on that comment, I know there's been a lot of publicity from London, especially from the Ministry of Health, on the number of trauma cases related to e-scooters, e-bikes, and how it has increased over the last couple of years. So I think there's going to be a need, and I'd love to hear from Mark Campbell if they're raising that at the provincial level about firming up tighter rules in regards to e-scooters, e-bikes. I know that they require kids under, 16 to wear helmets, but there's so much more that needs to be done, I believe. So does anyone have any updates, or could we ask Mark Campbell maybe to bring this forward at our next meeting?
I'm sure Deputy Chief could forward that concern to the chief. Maybe he can give a talk on it at the next meeting.
Yeah, I'll make a note and I'll bring it up to him when I get back. I know he was busy with some OACP stuff, but he should be around later today.
Okay.
So I'll make a note of that, and so something needs to be done.
Yes.
Yes.
I'll echo that for sure, because I see it. People riding those things don't pay any attention to any of the stop signs and intersections. They just blast right on through. And there's no standardization for helmets.
Exactly.
They're wearing, these
Bike helmets.
helmets, which those things will do 40 kilometers an hour or more.
Yeah.
Scooters. You hit something doing 40, you're going to be in big trouble.
Okay, perfect. I had a inquiry with you said the tender went out just recently. Do we anticipate having a list of people to approve at our next board meeting? Just because I know the summer months are coming up and we tend to get busy, and all of us might not be here for all board meetings, so I know we'd like to get this project on the go. Just wonder what the anticipated timeline is moving forward.
Yeah, so in speaking with A-Link, who is running the program in the back, I had specific deadlines so that we could make sure that the tenders were ready for the June meeting. So it's open for 3 weeks. There's a mandatory walkthrough on Thursday. So I'll be there for the walkthrough. A-Link will be there with anyone, and so anybody that's interested in putting in a bid will have to be there for the meeting. And then, as I said, it closes with enough time to get all the documentation in order to be put on the agenda for the June meeting. The intention is once it's approved there, they'll be able to notify the winning bidder, and then hopefully start early August.
Perfect. Exciting. Okay. If that's it for announcements and inquiries, move up to scheduled meetings. So the next one's Wednesday, June 17th, and Tuesday, July 21st, and Tuesday, August 18th. With that, do we have a mover and a seconder to adjourn for the day? Moved by member Rowe, seconded by member Hahn. All in favor? Perfect. Thank you very much, everyone.